Cheeky Richo's Zinger Pie.
Hi and welcome to Cheeky Richo's Zinger Pie. For a short time only, KFC is selling their Zinger Pies from a selected number of their stores. If you aren't fortunate enough to live near one of those stores, you're not going to be able to procure one of these delightful pies. So we've decided to show you how to make a Zinger Pie at home. The ingredients are in the recipe box below, so let's get started. You are going to need puff pastry and shortcrust pastry. That's the difference between the two colours here. I've showed you how to make shortcrust pastry in a different video, but we're using for convenience store-bought this time. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is just pop our butter into a pan. Our dry ingredients, which is what we're going to marinate our chicken in. So we've got some flour, some roast chicken seasoning, some chicken stock powder, smoked paprika, cayenne pepper. Doesn't look a lot, but it really packs a punch. Fresh cracked pepper. And now we just give that a shake around. We're just going to give our egg a light whisk because we're going to be sealing our pies with an egg and then brushing egg on the top of it. Now we've just got breast meat here, which we're going to cut into large chunks. You don't want to have small chunks because it will actually disappear. So we're just going to cut it into pieces about that big and just drop it into our flavoured mixture. So quite significant sized chunks. Breast meat is traditionally a very dry meat, and so we're going to brown it off to give our gravy some colour and then thicken it with the sauce. So you don't want to be criticised for having too smaller chunks. You really want to be able to see what you're eating here. Just pieces about that big. We're going to be making 4 pies and baking them in the oven. Where possible, just cut across the grain. And that way when you bite into this, you're going to have really large pieces with a thick, rich sauce, a crusty top, and a rich short crust pastry base. Now we just pop our chicken in there and give it a really good shake around to really press that spice mix onto all surfaces of that chicken. We can now turn our hot plate on, just to a low heat, and shake it like crazy. Really shake it vigorously. Make sure you select a lid that fits very firmly on your container. Either that or use a Ziploc bag. And this is what our chicken should look like. It's got a light coating of all our delicious spices. It's well and truly coated, won't stick to you at all. That's in with our butter. Let's move this around and we need to brown this on all sides. Once it's browned, we're going to add some fluid to make the gravy. The sauce will be thickened by the existing flour on the chicken. But we do want to get some colour on that, and it's already starting to smell pretty good. We'll just give this a real good toss around. We want to get this coloured up and start to cook without sticking or burning. To make our lids for our pies out of our puff pastry, and just run around that with a knife. There's our 3 tops done. We'll put them to one side and we'll do our bases. Now our chicken is nicely brown, almost cooked. We're going to send in our garlic now, our hot chili sauce, as much or as little as you like, and our water. And we need that to come to the boil and thicken before we fill our pie. Our sauce is thickened enough. If you want it any thicker than that, just cook it down a little bit more and it'll evaporate, but don't let it stick because it will burn. But that's going to be basically what the inside of your pie looks like. Once the lid goes on, it won't thicken anymore. Now just test it for seasoning to see if it's got enough salt or pepper. You can make it a little hotter if you like. You can't make it not as hot, but you can make it a little hotter. That's great just as it is. Just cut our bases from the short crust pastry and spray our tins with some cooking spray. And fit our pastry into our tins. Okay, to save having to get a different sheet for every pie, you can actually spackle some onto the top of that to form another pie. The reason that we're using the larger plate is because otherwise it won't fit. This is on the base. I wouldn't suggest that you do this on the top, but on the base it's fine because you're not going to see it. It's underneath. Just press that in. Okay, there's our 4 short crust pastry cases lining our pie plates, which have been lightly greased. We're going to spoon some of our Zinger chicken mixture into each one. Try and have it as even as possible. Now we just get our egg wash that we made earlier. Dip our pastry brush into it and give it a really good dousing around the edge because we want that pastry to stick. And we're going to use the same egg wash to brush the top of our pies. We're putting it on top of a baking tray because if we do have any boilovers, it will be contained on the baking tray and not in the bottom of your oven. Our little pies well coated. We're just going to get our pastry circles that we cut out earlier and pop them on top. Stretch them out a little bit if you must. And squeeze them together. Push the pastry back in. Now we're going to bake these 200 degrees Celsius for about 20 or so minutes until they're puffed and golden on top. We're going to leave them on this dark coloured baking tray because it will retain a lot of heat and actually cook the bottom of the pie properly. Now if you want to neaten that up and trim the edges, by all means do so. Now we're just going to give it another brush with our egg wash on the top to make it nice and golden and glossy. I'm going to cut one with some scissors to neaten up those edges. It will also serve to seal it as well. Zinger pie ready for the oven. Just going to put one little hole in the centre to allow steam to escape. Make sure that it's open, doesn't seal itself up again. And into the oven we go. And there you have it, Cheeky Richo's Zinger Pies are hot from the oven. We're just going to take them out onto a plate and allow them to cool slightly because they're going to be far too hot to eat at the moment. Now we're just going to pop it out of its pie plate. It can happen quite easily. It's very hot. There's the base. You can see it's nice and brown all over. It's quite heavy, golden and puffed, incredibly hot. Cheeky Richo's Zinger Pie. Have a little taste, shall we? You have got to try this. It's absolutely delicious. If you'd like to see more interesting recipes and ideas, just check out our Cheeky Richo channel. And don't forget to please subscribe. We've got so much more to show you and we're uploading lots of videos every week. And thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day.